Yes, we're here now for another Jazz Matters podcast. This will be podcast number 4. And today we got Michael Cruse, great trumpet player, along with our guest host, Von Coulter from Jazz Beats Radio, as always. Vaughn kind of keeps me in line with this kind of stuff, because being a musician, this ain't what I do, but it's what's necessary. Okay.
Right,
So,
right.
Michael Cruse, Mike, go ahead and let our audience know a little bit about you, where you're from and so forth, and how long you've been around the scene here in Atlanta and everything. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Mike.
Well, yeah, my name is Michael Cruse, as was stated. I'm originally from Lexington, Kentucky, where I learned all types of music, and spanning from the gospel tradition to jazz, R&B, neo soul, funk, and everything. And I started out actually on piano at first, which I still do play, and then also do keys and trumpet. I sing as well. And I eventually went up to the University of Cincinnati to do commercial music production and jazz studies, where I got the experience to play with different artists, different R&B artists, funk artists, and legends of all kinds of music. And so now, after I've graduated, I've since been playing and making music. I enjoyed school; it was cool, But now I'm in the realm of, like, I'm out to be out every night playing, checking out everything, meeting new people. I've been here in Atlanta going on now, coming up 2 years. And I'm very excited of when things kind of open up and get back to, together, that, we can get together and play again. I met so many wonderful people as you all, and met some brothers that play very well down here. And it's just been a life-changing experience being in a new environment, and a healthy environment where I'm able to meet and play with everybody and be able to travel the South. As you know, being a musician in Atlanta, you're called to go to New Orleans, you're called to go to Savannah, Jacksonville, Miami, and so on. And it's just a good experience to wear your body out a little bit on the road and get some experience and some playing time in. So, I'm glad to be here in Atlanta. I love it, and wouldn't change it for anything. So I'm going to be here for a very, very long time.
Well, so Mike, what actually influenced you? What was the drive or the motivation to get you to go into music and basically make a profession out of it? Because a lot of times, a lot of people start out, in small, like middle school bands and stuff, but they for some reason lose the drive to keep it going. And what was your motivation for keeping the music, and especially music? And I noticed you even though you mentioned a definite pattern of between R&B, gospel, and jazz, but the main thing is the drive for you to make this a profession. What was that? I mean, what caused that?
My mentors, my leaders, and people that kind of showed me the ropes. One of them being the great Charles Quillens, who happens to be my uncle and Jazz Matters board members, father, Juanita Morton.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Quillens in Lexington was really a big hero for me. He was also my uncle, and he was a musician. I mean, he was a full-time musician. He taught in the schools. He was one of the first Black trumpet players within the all-white Lexington Philharmonic in Lexington, which was a big step. And he was one of the first Blacks to graduate from UK and get a master's degree in music. And just seeing him go out and play, and the music that he portrayed, which was so honest and pure from his heart, really captivated me. I always was really interested in music from the start. I grew up in church, and there was always a piano, and I heard that piano. I was like, run up there to get it. I was, the kid, barely walking, barely picking my feet up, and I was running towards the piano because I heard that sound, and it really captivated me to say, I love music. And then, as far as me choosing this as a profession, I saw a lot of musicians make this their lives and dedicating their lives to the music for the long haul. So they're saying, you know, we learn this music and it never stops. And something about that captivated me to say, I want this to be a lifelong process for me as well too. It's not for the faint of heart. It's not for everybody. Being an artist is hard, as you know. And then also it has a lot of rewarding experiences. There's so many numerous experiences. I'm a young guy, but just a numerous experiences that I've been in that have, I would have never had that experience if yet I went to business or I went to social working or anything like that, or police and anything like that. I chose music because I wanted something to fulfill. I wanted to reach people in a meaningful manner. So when I play, I want people to feel the music that I play. And so
That's it.
I was really captivated to join music and become a profession in the profession of music, inspired by my mentors and leaders, for sure, definitely.
Right, because you were saying something, to the fact that you're a young guy and
Mhm.
choosing this profession. Well, the thing about that is, music as a profession will make a young man very old really quick.
Absolutely.
Because you grow up very fast. And
Absolutely.
but Vaughn, you want to weigh in, man?
Oh yeah, Michael, I want to let everyone know that you are an extremely talented individual. I mean,
Thank you.
I remember the performance you gave for the Jazz Matters concert at the Art Center in downtown Atlanta, and I was taken aback. You're a hidden gem, brother. I have to admit, I was quite impressed with what I saw. Your talent is amazing, and how the impact. I mean, what was it like? Because I know you play at a lot of the clubs and stuff like that, and what was the reaction of the musicians who encountered you? What was it? What was their impression after they saw you perform? Because I know you probably just amazed them at what you brought to the table.
Well, yeah, it's a wide range of stuff. I've been with a wide variety of musicians, so a lot of musicians are like, "Oh man, yeah, nice man, nice man," which is cool to hear. But what I especially love to hear is the criticism from my elder musicians, such as Winton and Delphio and Ellis, who I've all got the pleasure of playing with and meeting. And they told me the truth. They were hard on me about things, and
Mm-hmm.
that reaction to saying, "Oh, this is something that you need to check out," or "Oh, this is something that you should do better," or
Mm-hmm.
that part of it is enriching for me and learning for me, because it's easy to hear yes, 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 oh, how amazing, but you also want to hear what can you get better at, what are your weaknesses, and building on those weaknesses, finding those weaknesses and saying, I want to work on that, I want to get that better, I want to work on that. So I've had a lot of great reactions from a lot of legendary musicians, but I especially love the criticism. Not a lot of people, that's not a popular opinion, but I do especially take the criticism, and I like it to
Well,
say,
the thing,
okay, that's something I
yeah,
don't think about, or that's something I don't approach.
go ahead.
Well, the thing
What
is,
I was going to allude to is that I just think that is, I mean, your humility is just phenomenal too, because a lot of musicians come in with a style and the way they play, they kind of like are galvanized with that, and they don't think they can get any better. But it's always good to be able to show that humility and be able to take criticism and be able to understand. There's different levels of playing, and when you said Ellis and Winton and all of the other ones, especially out of that New Orleans sound, they gave you some advice to pursue, to look at and research other areas and stuff like that to improve your game, man. And uh, I'm all for that. I've even done that myself professionally, and because to me, it's really about the art form,
Yeah,
and I feel that's the road that you're on right now.
I appreciate it.
yeah. Now there was definitely, I think we had talked once before, and you really like the younger people, the school aspect. Uh, trying to, I think you have a couple of programs that that you have basically for, you know, public schools and so forth. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Yeah. So while before I moved here to, I was involved in a system where we set up to go out to different schools, whether that be middle schools, high schools, even elementary schools, and after school programs too, where a lot of the students, you know, don't have the luxury of having a babysitter come pick them up. So they go to, you know, arts programs or after school programs and community centers. So those were really the main places that we kind of pinpoint and say we want to go to. We want to get to the people that didn't have access to this music, which is kind of mind blowing, and that's a whole nother conversation that I guess we'll go into a little later.
Yeah.
But I wanted to stretch out to younger musicians and let them know, you know, where I was at, you know, because there's a lot of musicians that are out there in the world right now that are phenomenal. They're excellent, that a lot of young musicians don't get the opportunity to hear about. When we go into schools and there's programs they hear about, you know, the Essentials, which are all phenomenal musicians, you know, Duke Ellington, Count Basie, and, you know, Louis Armstrong, Miles Davis. But what they don't a lot of times hear is what's going on today, which you know, a lot of musicians that are creating music today are making music that's kind of reaching out to the younger generation that they kind of grasp a little bit too, but also paying homage and knowing the history. That's very important too, knowing the history, but also saying, you know, I'm going into these programs and exposing them to Robert Glasper and Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock and you know, list goes on. Christian McBride and all these people that have taken, you know, our experiences as Black Americans today and creating music out of it and saying, well, I hear that song, that's relevant to me. It's kind of hard for, you know, a 6, 7-year-old, 8-year-old to, you know, get connected to something that was from the 20s of, you know, apparently, you know, it's just kind of harder in that sense. So we like to diversify what we want to show the students, what we want to give to the students and say, hey, we want to give you the wide variety of the music. We want you to hear the beginning, the middle, and what's going on today. So I like to reach out to the students to give them my personal experience, my take on what I went through and what brought me to this music and brought me to this music, and show them what I was interested in too. And hopefully, you know, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But we just want to try everything, everything, you know, any outlet that we can to say, do you like this? Do you like that? Do you like that? You know, just bring them like a buffet and say, choose what you like to hear.
Yeah. What do you think about the, like when you mentioned the culture today, especially with the younger musicians, the infusion is what I would call it of current music being, let's say, mainstream radio, for instance, where you have an element of music that is electronically enhanced versus, you know, I'm saying a trio or a quartet that is all acoustic. And what do you think, as far as getting the message to the younger people? How are you able to make make them understand the two in performance? Because most of the kids that I've run into, they hear what they hear on radio, but the thing is they don't really understand what's making the sound, what type of instrument it is. There's no exposure to real music first, you know, but they like what they hear, you know, on radio. But I do know that there are a lot of artists like Robert Glasper and so forth, since you named him, that incorporates that sound of both electric and acoustic into his concepts of music, and they seem to really gravitate to that. And I think that that's a good thing, simply because you know, music has to evolve and it has to show you know, some type of evolutionary form or direction. Now, what do you think about the electronic aspects of all of that?
I'm a fan. Being for so much of my career so far has been acoustic playing.
Mhm.
I've just recently kind of started getting into the electrical side of playing, especially during this pandemic. Is giving me the time to sit back and say, what can I do electronically?
Mhm.
So working with TalkBox and working with synths,
Mhm.
working with all different VSTs and keyboards and stuff like that. Bringing that electronic aspect of it is really cool because you can manipulate the sound in a wide variety of ways. So if of course, you got a standard keyboard, you can double it and have an octave setting to it, and it has a really cool sound to it. Where you can add reverb and effects and stuff that's just been around for a while, but they have new ways of kind of more manipulating the sound as changing it into their sound. Like there's a keyboardist out right now that I really been digging. His name was Kiefer, and he does a lot of doubling instruments.
Mhm.
So forth, he'll play a line and it'll be on piano, and then he'll have a flute synth line over top of it too, and then also like a sub fatty synth line under that.
Mhm.
And having that dynamic of those three different instruments really kind of opens your ears to possibilities of what's out there, and it just doesn't have to be like a vocal aspect to something, or it doesn't have to be just a standard piano. We can open our minds to any type of virtual instrument and electronic instrument. So I really been digging into the talk box. I got it right here. I got my little tube and
Okay.
everything.
All right.
Working on it. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's very different.
It's
You're
electrical.
learning from an aspect where I've sang and that aspect and also played, but
Mhm.
putting the two together to create the sound that's been here since the 80s. And it's just really cool. The electronic aspect can really draw some kids in because they're like, technology's cool. They play with the phones, they play with
Right.
their PS4, Xboxes, anything like that. And once they find that same cool technology is within our music, that's gonna draw them in. When I
Most
first started getting into the laptop and garage band and working on
yeah.
that, that really drawed me in to say,
Right.
like, I could sit here hours and messing with sound, and I
Right.
can bend sound to my will. Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. So the electronic aspect, I'm a big fan of, but I'm also a huge fan of the acoustic side of it too. It pays
Mhm.
reverence to how this music started and the roots, where
Right.
people were playing outside, and they didn't have mics, and they had thousands of people waiting outside, and you had to blow.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I learned when I went down to New Orleans. I was like, oh yeah, I can play real loud. I can play real loud. I went and did a street parade with some trumpet players, and they blew all the way down the whole block. The whole block. I mean, about time that I got around the corner, I'm like, man, I'm tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they do this on a regular basis. I mean, they bang,
Yeah.
you can hear them for blocks and blocks and miles and miles and miles. And that was the whole tradition that Buddy Bolden and Bunk Johnson and Louis Armstrong all created within the history of this music, was that it was an acoustic music. But,
Right.
so not to get too confused on it, but I pay homage to the acoustic music as much as possible because it's very
Right.
important. But I also love where music's going electronically and how to keep up. It's important to be relevant in today's society within the music.
True, man. And I'll let you in on a little secret. Actually, I had been experimenting with that electronic, the technologies that came all the way through the analog era, like you was talking about, since you had the talk box and everything.
Yeah.
And I remember back in, I don't know, it was in the 80s or the 70s. I used to use it. I would use it in acoustic settings, and it would be different. It was just a whole different sound.
Yeah.
So because I was always real caught up into the sonicness of the sound. And so even today, man, I even have a vocoder that I can play my instrument through, and it's a whole different dynamic. You know what I'm saying? And I've done, as a matter of fact, on a CD that I did, Chill With Me, I used a lot of layered electronic stuff. You know what I'm saying? like you were saying, layering piano and flutes together and other different instruments. And just to come out with us, that particular sound. I also incorporated a lot of on every song that was present, but there was also a lot of live musicians. Everybody else, there were still live musicians there, you see. So I was always good at that. Vaughn, I know Vaughn plays such a big variety of gigantic scope of music. I know he's all up into all of the good stuff.
I am totally, absolutely. I was going to mention that I hope that you're explaining to a lot of the young people when you play the vocoder, this was done by Herbie Hancock first.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just thinking about that album, Sunlight, classic album. And the songs and Herbie's arranging and fusion in those two sounds, acoustic and the electronics. Of course, Herbie was already into that anyway, but it's just a fascinating statement that you made, that how you're blending the two together, and that's what our culture has always done. It's always meshed with other sounds coming from different areas, from how jazz and mesh with gospel and R&B and soul, and within the rock world, with what Miles was doing in the electric years. So kudos to you to take that step forward, man. And you talked about the young cats out there today, Robert Glasper and Nick P, and you got Christian and so many others. I'm just fascinated just hearing them play and what they do. And you kind of wonder what it would be right now if Roy Hargrove was still around.
Man,
Roy was taking it in that direction too, and he
Definitely.
was influencing a lot of cats, during that time period. So with that being said, where because I'm just looking at it right now, are you looking at the future of the music, from a like a very positive standpoint right now?
Yeah, I definitely, I'd say so. From they were the torchbearers, as they would say. They took what was going on in the past and they added their little thing to it. Now they're handing the torch off to the next generation. And what me and my brothers also want to do is just add our flavor and our taste to it. Nick did this thing, Roy did their thing, Louis Armstrong did his thing, Dizzy did his thing, and we want to say yes, we pay homage to that lineage and want to highlight that as much as possible and take what they did and throw a little bit of that spice into what we're going to do going forward, just to pay homage to it. You can hear it in the sound, you can hear it in the beats. So one of the things that I'm working on right now, I've been working on this project for close to 2 years now. And I'm stepping outside of my realm of what people usually see me do and perform. A lot of people, they see me playing trumpet and they see me singing and doing Louis Armstrong stuff or singing ballads or singing straight ahead. What I'm doing is I've created all original music from the heart, music from the soul, of electronic music. I have a single out right now. It's called You, where I did all the instruments. I played keys, bass, and did the drum parts on it with electronic drum beats, which are the same kind of drum kits that are used in like rappers like Lil Baby and the Baby and stuff like that, Gucci, all of that. I take those same like trap style beats and infuse it within chords that Herbie used and chords that Nick Payton used in his music, and putting those two together along with my trumpet playing that Roy used when he layered the stuff on D'Angelo's record, all that stuff. So we want to put all of those flavors, blend them together, and make it a total package of we're paying homage to the past, seeing what's going on today, and pushing the music into the future. That's what we want to do. So I try to get all of that stuff in there. I try to make it a big sandwich. I don't want no thin bread and bologna. I want a nice hearty sandwich that's
I
gonna get everything in it. When you bite that into it, you're gonna be like, "Woo, okay, yeah,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
nice. This is nice. It's got everything in it." So
Cool.
Wow, that's. Tell me something. I just wanted to know. You were in the film Miles Ahead, and you and I share a very important aspect. I've worked with Don Cheadle also. What what was that like for you as a musician? Because Don Cheadle is a jazz head itself. He's just a marvelous actor as well. But what was that like working with Don on the film?
oh, it was an extraordinary experience. I mean, it was such a learning experience. Um, I'll tell you how kind of I got into it.
Uh-huh.
I heard that they were doing a film, and it was
Right.
actually staged in a jazz club in Cincinnati, and they were like, come and audition, check it out, yada 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 yada, like that. It's like, all right, I'll go. So I'll go in there and play, and I read some lines, and I was like, man, this is excellent. It's excellent. And the guy's like, oh, we definitely got something for you. So I'll go back for about 2 or 3 more auditions.
Mm-hmm.
And within the third audition, the last audition, I'm like, okay, I'm walking in. I'm like, all right, how many more auditions we got of this? How many more we got to go with this? And I walk in. As soon as I walk in, I hear, is that a gig bag? And I look to my left, Don Cheadle sitting right there in the audition.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Don Cheadle and I spoke a lot about what drove him and enticed him about Miles and creating this movie and why he wanted to do it. And he was also, believe it or not, a very well versed. He could play trumpet. A lot of the
Mm.
stuff that he had in the movie, we had voiced over, played over. We worked with people, Keon Harold and Robert Glasper and Herbie. All of those people were involved in the movie.
Right.
But working with Don was somebody that really revered the music and really cared about the music. He was definitely somebody who was an aficionado of the music.
Right.
It's like, he cares about the sound, but also he wanted to bring light to what was going on with Miles during a period where people thought he was done. Where
Mm-hmm.
a period where people were like, oh, he's too far out. He's too far gone. He hasn't touched the horn in a year or so. It was a dark time for Miles. It was right after a divorce. So he really wanted to shed light on how he was trying to get back into it, in which kind of that point pushed the music into more fusion and like Bitches Brew and everything like that. But Don Cheadle was, he's very aware of the music and aware of what Miles would be wanting to portray in his feeling and in his actions. So
Right.
it was a really cool experience. I mean, being a young person, I think I was like sophomore in college at the time, and it just going into that situation where you haven't really had a lot of experience on doing acting auditions, and then you're in the room with one of the biggest Black actors in today's time. It really changes your thing and your outlook. So I thank Don Cheadle for the experience he gave me and what I learned from acting in
Right.
those scenes. So
I,
Okay.
that was my impression as well. Don is an incredible actor, and just um, just working with him, in scenes that we were doing. I was working on a film called A Lesson Before Dying. We were shooting it in Houma, Louisiana, and Don is an incredible actor, and
yep,
he does his work.
yep.
He's one of those guys you just sit back and you just know he's focused. That's what I got from him. And I just wanted to share that with you because I thought that,
Wow.
your impression would probably be on the same
Yeah.
lane as mine. So I appreciate you sharing that. But you've got a long list of individuals you played with over the last few years, and I'm just it's remarkable to me that you've been able to, like, now find your own space to create your own, your voice in this music. Um, and I just want to kind of like go into now what the impact of the culture of jazz. you know, Edwin and I have talked about this in the past, is that, you know, it's layered, it's fully focused, and it's more of a lifestyle. It always has been since its inception.
Yeah.
How do we carry that into the future?
Well, what we want to do is to show people that there's nothing to be afraid of this music, and there's not to be afraid to play this music. This is an expressive music, and what we want to offer to young people and people wanting to get into music is that this is an opportunity for you to express yourself. This is an opportunity for you to learn history, jazz history, U.S. history, and learning the importance of what race and oppression played in the forming of this music, which, you know, that's another conversation about education, but how that oftentimes is missed within the history of, you know, when they're teaching history in schools, as far as collegiate level and also high school level. They don't really stress upon the importance of how the oppression and you know, everything that they went through played in their music. You know, that you think that you think that Billie Holiday was just singing Strange Fruit just because she was happy. Nah, it was what was going on at the time.
Right.
So it's a daunting thing because there's a lot of connotations that come with jazz musicians on, you know, oh, you must be hungry, or you must be hurting, you must be doing this. Like, you know, I'm cool. You know, I play. You just got to be smart about your money and how you do things, investing in yourself, just like you would with any other work. But the thing that I love about being a part of and being a jazz musician is having the free time to do what I want, having the time to do research, having the time to learn continually, because like we said earlier, it's a lifelong process within this music. So I just, you know, want to take what I've learned, pass it on, but also stress upon other artists not to stay stagnant in just playing tunes. You got to push the boundaries forward. You got to learn. You got to say what you want to say. If you feel strongly about what's going on today, put it into music. If you feel strongly about how you were treated in a certain situation, put it into music. But this is the genre that you're able to create what you want to do, create the sound that you want to do. You're able to influence and add horns and add strings. There's just no really limits. With classical music, you have a lot of like limits on what you're kind of able to create, far as like in a sense of today's world, and relating it to today's world. There are a lot of, you know, great artists that write a lot of music that relates to today's world, but I mean, a lot of people can't relate to it. You know, a lot of people relate to vocals. What are we saying? What are we trying to get across? And I just want to say that, you know, jazz gives us that platform. And that's what kind of really enticed me, was that, you know, I have a platform to sing Black and Blue. That's a song that was written back in the 30s and 40s, but it's still relevant today.
Right.
You know, my only sin is in my skin. That's what you see is wrong with me, is my skin. So I would go out and sing that song, and I like to give that history to some of the audience that doesn't look like me, and let them know, you know, this song was back in the 40s, but it's still very relevant to how I feel as a Black man today. So I just want to, you know, add to that. You know, I don't want to get too far off topic, but
okay. Yeah, that'll be for another meeting that we're gonna have here, another show, another episode. But I'm thankful that you were able to get a hold of us, and you know, we got other things to talk about, as you know, and we will definitely be getting back to you, because I know how it is when you're just blooming with stuff. You know, you got so much stuff you got,
so much,
you know, you want to put out there. But we right now we pretty much run out of time.
Okay.
And what I was gonna do was just let you know that we'll do this again.
Okay.
And Vaughn, you could take us out. This is Edwin Williams with Jazz Matters, and you can go to yesjazzmatters.org and see what we're doing and so forth. You can also donate, and we'll go ahead and switch it over. And thanks, Mike, for coming.
Absolutely.
And thanks for well, you're there, but thanks for appearing. Let's say it like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And thanks again, Mike. We appreciate you, man. And hopefully we'll get, oh, it's guaranteed, we'll get you back on. We'll get you back on, my friend.
Definitely.
All right.
And with that being said, we're going to head on out of here, folks. And it's been a pleasure having you join us. Hit that like button on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up. And because jazz matters. That's what we do. And that being said, in the words of one Mr. Lamont Sanford, Adabo, Jack.
Thank you. Peace.